Hey there, Fight here with a super exciting interview. I've got none other than Christopher Walker, the creator of Test Shock, on the call, and he agreed to run us through a couple of the things. We've all seen the analysis of the sales funnel, which I think is one of the best examples of how to do great marketing I've seen in a long, long time. And Christopher has graciously agreed to, give us some feedback, some insights into why he came up with these things, what he did, etc., etc. So welcome on the call, Christopher.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so I guess let's. So the product is Test Shock, which is a testosterone increasing product, which is aimed at men. So quickly give us an insight how you came up with the idea, what's your background? Were you passionate about this all your life, or how did you come up with the idea of doing a product like this?
So I had a lot of testosterone issues. I have a brain tumor and pituitary gland, and I was diagnosed with that when I was like 19. So at that point, I was in college, and I really just wanted to focus. A lot of my life was just ended up being focused on naturally curing that because I didn't want to have brain surgery.
Yeah.
And I was in college for neuroscience, so it ended up being a perfect thing. And I spent a lot of time researching natural testosterone production, and then used all the techniques on myself and did some trial and error and that sort of thing. And over 18 months, got my testosterone up extremely high. When it was 11 nanograms per deciliter. I kind of go through that story in the sales page and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I really learned everything that I needed, and it didn't even occur to me like people would also want to know until I started telling people how high my testosterone was now, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do that?" And I was like, "Oh wow, it's actually a big issue that guys." Like most guys, actually, it seems like have some kind of a testosterone issue, and so I wrote a book. It ended up being that it's the Test Shock program, and it's 264 pages. Ended up getting kind of big, and so I was like, okay, well now I'm going to sell it and sell it online. I had a first version of it. It's called Testosterone IO, which is now Test Shock. It's the same book, but it just I didn't know anything about marketing really when I released the first version, and then over the next couple years, I'd still sold a lot of copies. Definitely sold a lot of copies, but I didn't really have a funnel. It was more just it was a sales page.
So
if you want to
tell us how you got. These are the guys. They're saying, "Hey, that's really cool. Tell us more about it." And you had it all written up. What's the first thing? How did you get into the idea of let me do some marketing?
Oh, okay. So I started a startup, like a tech startup, mobile tech, in college, and we did the whole song and dance, like raise a bunch of money. It was like a multi-million-dollar startup, but we had this pain point where I didn't know anything about marketing. Nobody involved knew anything about marketing. It was all just like a lot of engineering and that sort of thing. So when I was finished with that startup, that was always in the back of my mind. I was like, I need to figure out how to even on a small level, like sell things to people online, and just make people interested. So I got in. At first, I was like, my impression with internet marketing was basically just like it's all a scam. It's all like these people, because that's a lot of what you see. You just see a bunch of like crap.
Yeah, exactly.
And just people hawking, nonsense. And so that was my impression of it at first. So I was like, I'm going to just be a blogger. I like bloggers. They seem trustworthy, and it's cool to have that kind of influence. So I just got into blogging, and then from there, just started learning more about marketing in general, and learned that, you don't have to be a scammer. You don't have to have like crappy marketing and bad tactics and that sort of thing. So I was like, okay, well, now that I know, I just put the book out originally, and I was like, okay, I'll just put out a sales page and use blogging to sell it. And now at this point, I learned over the last couple of years just some good marketing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a hard line on this, and spend a lot of time on the design and make sure it's really good. Completely edited, like very solid product. And now I'm going to implement some of these things I've learned in terms of like upsells and just basic psychology stuff, downsell flow, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Cool.
to turn into Test Shock.
So before we get into the actual marketing, quick question about the actual product, because a lot of people, and I totally feel the pain. When I got started, I had the same thing. It's like you want to put a product out there, you don't want to come across as a scammer, so you want to make it a solid product. And before you know it, you've spent 3 years editing your book, and it's still not out. And what you kind of hinted at was, you kind of wrote it, and then you did some marketing, and then you did some more editing to make it even more solid. Sort of more like a lean startup approach. What was your, how many iterations did you do before you thought, okay, this is good enough, I'm going to put it out there?
Honestly, it was an extremely fast process for the first version. It was I gave myself 30 days. I said you're putting it out in 30 days. I hadn't written even one word, and over the course of 30 days, I literally wrote the entire book. That first version was over 250 pages, and I wrote the whole thing, and then launched it. I set out a plan for myself in terms of like just some basic pre-launch principles that I would implement while I was writing, and I pre-sold. I pre-sold a good amount. I think the pre-sales were like it was still like $5,000 in pre-sales, which
very
good.
Nice. So what kind of traffic did you get to your pre-sales page? Was it all from your blog, or did you then reach out to others and get traffic from there, or did you use paid traffic? What did you do in the beginning?
It was all blogging. At that point, I didn't really know anything else.
Yeah, okay.
That was about it. I just had my blog audience. I think I had a small email list too. It was only like 2,000, and but it was high quality. I cared about my people, and wanted to teach them good stuff. So. By no means was that any kind of like large amount of money, but for me it was a big deal because I was like, oh, I'm selling something. This is cool.
It's awesome, yeah. So just as a side note, what role does Test Shock play in your life at the moment? I mean, are you still in school, or is this your main thing now, or what is it you're doing?
It's a company, I guess that I don't know how to phrase it. So my main thing right now is I'm actually starting a much bigger supplement company / health website. So, and that's just in the background, still early stage, but we have investment capital, and so with Test Shock, my main focus is going to be to try and automate as much as possible and really build myself out of the business.
Yeah.
And have it so that I can have an assistant, doing customer service.
Yeah.
And my goal for that is basically just by this summer, by June, July, have that completely done and running on a low six figures level where I can just start buying traffic into a funnel.
Yeah.
And have, I've got a blog there, writing blog posts every day. I'm just trying to have it so I have about 100 blog posts that I can automate out on an email autoresponder.
Yeah.
And just trying to build myself out of the business, which is also a new fun challenge, 'cause I think people get too caught up inside of their businesses, and it's cool to have the concept of being able to automate, a nice low six-figure income, and then just go bigger, with something else.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many cool points here. We could keep going, but let's focus on a few central bits here. So one thing is you kind of have your blog, and it has a certain target audience. Now, the one thing I picked out is basically you keep coming back to basically having the key pain points of your target audience. Is that something you thought about initially, or did they just they were attracted to your blog? What kind of things were you talking about on your blog to attract this particular type of audience, who then basically all resonated with your product and went, yeah, man, I'm going to even give you money up front?
Oh yeah, at that point I was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what would stick. I didn't even it was just kind of a general audience. I was doing a lot of guest posting to just build my list on a lot of like personal development blogs.
Yeah.
And I think I was just fortunate that, I had the backstory and the credibility where when I put it out there, my project, there were enough people that cared about it that, I was able to really use them as like the focal point of building my audience from that point on. There was enough guys, it's a common enough problem of having low testosterone, I guess, where there were enough guys out there that were like, oh, there's some good information here now. I'm going to pay attention. And then, they'll share it with their friends and stuff, and so it's kind of building up from there.
I tell you what, I see this over and over again when I talk to other entrepreneurs. The fact that you care and you care about your audience and it's a topic they care about, that's the key thing, because then you can reach out to other bloggers and say, look, I've got something, would you mind looking at it? And typically they do, because they see that you care. And it's not this scammy stuff where just, something totally hyped up and, hey, you can have testosterone levels of 1,000 plus, with 3 simple, whatever, quick tricks. So when we look at, there's one thing that, in here that keeps coming over and over, and that is if we look at the low sex drive. It's somewhere on here, right? I don't even know where it is, but it's the one thing that sort of totally jumped out at me. And there's your story. Hang on, I just searched for sex. And then, there you go, amazing sex life. Oh, exactly. The libido. That seems to be a thing that keeps coming up over and over again. Is that something like you heard from your audience that they kept saying it, or how did you come up with this? I mean, clearly it must be a point that resonates with this audience.
Oh, yeah, low sex drive? Yeah, I experienced it myself. So, I was like a teenager, and I had no sex drive. So that was one of the main issues. For me,
that is an issue as a teenager, indeed.
Yeah, it was a main pain point. So I was like, obviously, and then when I did all the research, that's a huge part of the equation. So, and then it ended up being, it was reinforced the more I talked to people, and they would email me with issues and stuff. There's like, I have no sex drive, and it's affecting my relationship or my ability to even care about anything in that regard. So that was definitely, it just became evident really over time, but I knew it was a pain point initially just from experience.
Cool. I think that is such a super important point, because a lot of people go into, whatever their chosen market is, and they go, well, I need to nail this avatar. I need to sit down and, follow the instructions of my favorite guru that says, list the 10 main points, the main 10 desires, the main whatever, all these things, and then you create this avatar around it. And it's my experience as well that you need to spend some time in the market, talking to the market, being the market ideally, to really get those things, and they crystallize out over time. It's not suddenly you go, it's sex life. You keep hearing it, and you see evidence, and then suddenly you go, man, yeah, that seems to be a main pain point. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to tell people is just, and it's a big lesson that I've learned, is just patience. And I think it becomes easy, especially in the IM niche, when you're learning, to feel like you're going to get a ton of immediate results from like this huge cash flow immediately. Yeah. But it's not necessarily true. I'm sure some people have done it, but it's more in just entrepreneurship in general. It's about the long game, and part of that has to do with if you really do care about the product that you're building to help people, then listening to their feedback and taking the time. Test Shock Testosterone IO was on the market for almost 2 years before I did Test Shock, and that gave me an income, but it also gave me a lot of research, like market research, and less like actual like new material for the book, but mostly a new way to market it, like specifically to people that have been emailing me and on my Facebook page and all that sort of stuff. So just that patience there. You can always reinvent a current business. It's not like you have, I put out a product initially that was, I had limited skills in this department, but now, almost 2 years later, I was able to just completely reinvent the business. So if you're just patient with it, you can totally do that yourself too, and like people can push products out quickly and then get a lot of you can still earn from it, and then you can get a lot of good info from the market and then change it.
I tell you what, that is, it's a great segue into maybe the funnel, if we want to look at that in a second.
Yeah.
What you've just said basically sums it up in a nutshell, or it can be summed up, that you really need to focus on this one thing. It's one thing I keep seeing over and over again. People are so enamored with the idea of doing a quick launch, and then they're doing the next thing. And there's absolutely no way, especially after listening to you now, that you can knock out this product, design the entire funnel, have a complete understanding of who the ideal customer is, quickly launch it, and then move to the next thing. It just is a process. It takes time. And that's why I keep saying, launches are probably the worst thing you can do if you jump from one launch to another, because you have to relearn how to do the funnel, how to do the avatar, how to sell to that particular audience. You have to build the relationships again and again and again. So it's much better to use exactly your model, which is, here's my one product, and I'm going to refine this over time, get more and more insights whilst making some money, and then over time it's going to get more money. And then, like you said earlier, now you are in the position where you can extract yourself from the business, or by June it will be, and then you can move on to the next product.
Yep.
So awesome stuff. So let's have a look at a little bit at the funnel. So you said, you basically learned this by doing, by looking at other people. How did you? So if we just, there are so many great things. I want to compliment you on a couple of them. Actually, I'm not going to fire this up, because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload this page. So I'm going to shut up for a second because the audio breaks down. So give me 1 sec. So in a second, there should be an exit pop. Actually, there you go. All right, before you go, yes, get the free guide. So I went and basically got the free guide. I did actually buy the product. So here's my email address. Okay, I could put it in there. And actually, let's see if this works again, because I've already used this one here. It's googlemail.com. That's my test email. So this here, I think, is one of the best ways of doing something a lot of other people get completely wrong. And that is basically, I would like to offer you a discount. Okay, so you describe the whole thing. This is how much it is. And then there is a bit of a discount here. But it's in exchange for something. All right, so you basically need to do it. You take it, and then you give me some feedback. And I think that is one of the best ways of doing hey, I'd really like you to stay and try this out. How did you come up with this idea? Did you invent this, or did you see someone else do it? That is just fabulous.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've never seen anyone do this. I just kind of thought I would try it, honestly. And this is a good point, one of the price points that I've been testing price points for sales.
Yeah.
I'll run some flash sales, with testosterone IO. I ran probably 4 flash sales over the last couple of years, and I noticed that 67 was a really good number for that, because it's a $97 product. I'll put it for 67 for 3 days and get 100 people buy it right away.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's pretty awesome that they like that number. So I have to integrate that somehow into this process. So I don't know. It took a few months of just thinking as I was, trying to rebuild this funnel, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna actually try, the exit pop, and just basically be like, here for $67, because with the exit pop, I specifically didn't want to advertise that there was a sale on the other end.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get the people, I wanted to give them a tip, and then basically catch them on this end and basically say, I can tell that you're clearly interested in optimizing your testosterone, but the price might be an issue for you. So if it is an issue for you, we're going to do a trade, and I want you to be a success story for me, and then here's the product, the same product for $67, which I knew already that was a good price point. And this is accounted for about 50% of the overall revenue right here on this page. So, which has been amazing.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
terrific.
works.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
love it. And what I especially love about it is that it is actually an ethical way of doing it. I hate those things where you suddenly find out, well, I could have had the same thing for just cheaper because the marketer just wants to get my money any way they can. And here, because it's a trade, you need to give me a testimonial. I think it is absolutely superb. Now, talking of superb things. The follow-up email, and I'm not going to take everything apart because it's already done in the main program, in my analysis. You do a superb job at positioning the price of your supplement. You basically sum up all the ingredients and you go, well, I can buy all the stuff on Amazon, and look, here's my supplement, which is going to cost you only a third of what you spend on Amazon for the individual ones. How did that come about? Is that the company you're talking about earlier, the supplement company?
No, this is just completely my own my
Okay.
own supplement line, and
Yeah.
the other one is there are multiple people involved. But I knew that I wanted to do a supplement because, especially that quick fix supplement, because that just became one of the biggest issues. I noticed most people had deficiency in all those, or one or more of those vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, a supplement is a good idea, and then just looking at the different prices of all of them, if you want to get a good product on Amazon, it's pretty expensive. And I knew that I could make that supplement for a lot cheaper. So I was like, okay, I might as well put that in the follow-up email right away. Because one thing I learned over the years was to just hit people with really good info, and then they won't really mind if you're selling something. It's like, and especially because it's just like hard, like quick and dirty, just right to the point. I learned to very much disdain when people drag something out over a long time, and I think it's better and more honest to just be like, here's the tip. This actually helps. This is part of the program. You got to get your deficiency levels addressed. Get it back up to normal. Here's where you can buy the stuff, but if you want it for cheaper, you can sign up and get my supplement because I can make it cheaper than this. So it just seemed like a very straightforward, honest, logical way to do it, and not have then I don't have to also write some huge follow-up sequence for my emails. It's it's a win-win. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the whole funnel basically oozes that, hey, look, here's the deal. You can get this, or you can, take my thing, and it's all ethical and it's nice, and it'll help you. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now, let's look at the next thing. Like I said, we're not going to look at everything. I'm just going to load the new page. I'm going to shut up for a second. Okay, so here is the classic OTO. This is the upsell number one, which is basically the shred program. So first of all, the shredding thing, that clearly is a pain point in that industry. I'm 44. Trust me, I've nearly given up the idea of a six-pack, but I'm going to try one more time. Oh, man. Anyway, so what I loved about this one here is something you do at the bottom, and it is this here, the table of contents. Dude, that is just awesome because it gives you an instant sense of ownership. Here is the program, and rather than you sitting there and listing all the benefits and all the cool stuff that's in there, you just go, boom, straight to the point. Here is what you're getting, and it's almost like I have the book in front of me, so it's like it's almost tangible. Now, all I need to do is click that one button, and it's mine.
yep.
How did you come up with this? This is just terrific.
I don't know. It just kind of came out when I was designing the page. I was just writing it. I was like, okay. Instead of maybe linking to a PDF or something, so they have to leave this page, I'm just going to screenshot the table of contents and put it on here. Because I always like to see, I was thinking at like Amazon. You go look at books on Amazon.
Yeah.
They let you view the table of contents before you buy it. So I was like, I thought of that, and that's actually my favorite. That's a big indicator. Beside the reviews, that's how I buy books. I look at the table of contents, and I'm like, okay. It's even in Barnes and Noble and bookstores. I look at it, and just you can kind of, with a well-written table of contents, you can decide whether or not it's going to be a book full of fluff or an actual like down and dirty, full of useful points and useful strategies kind of book. So I just, because this book is specifically very to the point, quick. I tell you exactly what you need to do. There's not a ton of background stuff. There's a lot more background stuff in the Test Shock program, the main program. So this, I was just like, these people are going to want to see exactly what they get. You get a grocery list, you get nutrition plan, the training plan, cardio plan. Like that's what people want when they want a fat loss program, and then a bunch of FAQs. And so I was just like, I'm just putting table of contents in there. I have a big red button, says one click, just click this thing. Because at this point, Dave, it's a one-click upsell. Just got to make it real easy. So that was the thought process.
Hey, when you first started selling this thing, were you immediately on ClickBank, or did you use something else to begin with?
I used Gumroad first.
Okay,
and then,
never heard of it.
Well, with this one, with Testosterone.io, I used Gumroad, and then I moved to ClickBank eventually. But then with this one, I went to ClickBank immediately because I knew a couple people wanted to promote it, so I was like, okay, I'll just do that because it's easy for affiliates. But to be honest, there's some things I don't like about ClickBank, and so I'm in the process. I've already got a back-end checkout system, and I'm in the process of building it out even more because I realized over Testosterone.io life cycle that last year alone, because of ClickBank and because I didn't have my own cart system, because of those live cookies, I had actually lost about $100,000 in sales. Yeah, because the cookie lives in the browser for 60 days. Yeah. And then I'm remarketing. I'm spending my own money, my own time remarketing. Yeah. And it's just annoying, because you send it back and then you're still giving them these huge commissions that they didn't actually make on the front end. So at this point, I'm building my own cart system, but I'll be, I'm on ClickBank still. Like I still give the affiliates. There's like 100-something affiliates for this product right now, so still doing that, but I'm also building my own cart system.
Oh, very nice. Cool. So let's have a look at the next one, which is this one here. So this one here completely got me stumped, and you're probably familiar with Russell Brunson, right?
Yeah, I got his little his book, that conversion book.
The 108 conversion magic tricks. It's actually sitting right next to me on my desk here.
Oh, nice.
It's a great thing. It's awesome. Absolutely. So, and the one thing he says is, look, when you see something that works, just copy it. Just clone this thing, even if it makes no sense whatsoever. So I was looking at this here, and I thought, this makes no sense whatsoever to me. To me, as a dude, I've just bought the book, and I bought the shred thing, all very cool. Now, why would I want videos? I'm personally, but I tell you what, if I were to release something in the weight loss or mail thing, I would now copy this. I would just go, look, let me make some videos and stick it in there. How did you come up with this here? And if you want to reveal, some insights, how's it working out?
Okay, so I actually made part of the business model for this is to I have like white label stuff on the back end. So there are a lot of guys with testosterone boosters supplements that don't have any information products. Like they don't have no information funnel. Yeah. So I originally made this video course as a white label for a pretty big media buyer who had a test booster. Yeah. And I ended that contract right before releasing Test Shock because I wanted to be able to sell this video course again in my own funnel for my own price. Part of our contract was I had to sell it at their price point, which this video course itself was at $297. So
oh wow.
I just thought that was a bit high, and I wanted, for my audience at least, and I wanted to sell it as a, I wanted to have some kind of a recurring revenue built into this funnel.
Yeah.
So I said, instead of selling it for $297, I'm just going to do it for, give them a trial and $9.95 a month, and see what happens. This was kind of just a test to like see what happens.
Okay.
And so I put it here, and it's done pretty well. It's building up steadily. This has only been out for a couple weeks at the time of recording, but there's like 60-something people who are in their recurring thing.
Oh,
so,
very nice.
yeah, that's good. So I figure every month, it'll grow, and eventually it'll be at a really good level. We're pretty happy with the recurring payments, and then I can use that also for reinvesting. Say it's at like $5,000 a month or whatever. That's good, because then I can buy all my supplement shipments with that every month. And
so how's that done at the moment? Are you was it a ready-made supplement, or did you have it specifically developed?
It's being developed right now at the moment. I've got basically just a waiting list. So
okay.
yeah, it's in the middle of being developed. It hopefully will be done in about 6 weeks or 8 weeks on the market. That's my goal. Like I want it by mid-April, and I really want it to be actively being sold and have a funnel for it. But it's taking a while.
I didn't check that out because I'm based in Europe, so I thought, okay, no, I'm not going to have it shipped over here. Otherwise, I would have bought it.
Yeah, no, it's just a waiting list. So if you want to check that funnel out too, when it's ready, then you can hop on the waiting list. But it's taking a while just because it's being formulated and stuff. So I'm doing all my own design, and I've got it's just going to be like high quality. I'm really taking the time with the bottles and stuff. It's definitely a process. But once it's done the first time, then it's done, and you're set. You get all there's like so many moving pieces with physical products. That's kind of a new frontier. There's all the shipping stuff, the boxes, the packaging, the bottles, the formulation itself, and like sourcing those ingredients, the labels, everything. So.
Well, are you going to do that all yourself, or are you going to go through Amazon, for example?
No, I'm not going through Amazon. I'm going to have my own funnel.
Okay.
I know a lot of guys who, I'm in a mastermind group where a lot of guys have supplements, and there's a mix of people who run it off Amazon or on their own funnels, and kind of the unanimous vote is if you have an audience already, do your own funnel, because that's like the goal of a lot of the Amazon guys anyways. They build their audience off of Amazon, and then they transition into their own self-hosted funnel. So I figured I'm just going to skip the Amazon because, I'll do it maybe when I'm positioned well. Like say my list is nice and big and hot, and I'm positioned well to launch like maybe a new supplement in Amazon and drive it up the charts really quickly in the rankings, because that has a lot to do with like volume and new purchases and reviews and stuff. So
exactly.
Especially in the test booster market, this market is extremely competitive. So I was like, I'm just going to host it all myself and just build my business silently away from everyone else, and just be happy with that. And then when I'm ready, I can go in and just mess around in the Amazon market. Yeah,
very cool. I guess looking at this page here, the last point is then the classic hideous. Pink, whatever that color is. No, I don't want it. No, I really don't want to click on that button. Oh, yes. Big and nice green. Add this to my purchase.
Yeah. That was kind of a joke. I just, when I was making the buttons, I was like, well, instead of doing, some kind of nice color, I'm just going to do this awful looking pink and make it so no guy wants to push that button.
Now, are you actively split testing different colors and that kind of stuff, or is that too small a detail or too early in the in the timeline for this funnel here?
Yeah, it's just I'm not split testing. I should maybe, but not currently.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I mean, there are a whole bunch of other things, and we covered them in the review. This is absolutely fabulous. There were so many great little insights. If I had to sum this up, this is when you do this thing, go with something you're passionate about, so you can genuinely care about your customers and engage with them. Then engage with your customers to find out what it is they're doing. Actually, as a little side note then of my summary, in your email, the first welcome email says, oh, you've done a really cool thing in the welcome email. I think you're kind of, in a very sort of cool way, you send people over to your blog and go, oh, by the way, if you came from my blog, and here it is, you can also check out this free report. So you're giving an added bonus, and you're saying, here's my blog, by the way, which you should check out, without being like in your face. Hey, go check out my blog. That was, beautifully done, in my opinion. But anyway, you close out that email, that welcome email, which has another few great. I mean, the use of that picture in there is absolutely great. Again, it tells everyone they're in the right place. And then you have the, you basically, if you've got any questions or something like that, just let me know. What is your response in this market? I can tell you, in the internet marketing niche, the response rate of people actually reaching out to you is shockingly low. But I've done stuff in the in the weight loss niche, and there it's much higher. What do you find in this very specific niche here?
Yeah, it's high. It's very high. I originally was like, when I was just starting off, I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to get emails from people and, just be able to interact with an audience. And then it turned into, oh my gosh, I have so many emails, like, this is stressing me out, So, yeah, I get a lot of email, and I've taken measures to help, because there was a certain point where it was causing me a lot of anxiety, and so I have like some good filters on my inbox now. I run this thing called SaneBox, keeps me sane, and I love that. But it helps like archive things, so I can check folders when I want to, but I'm not going to open up my inbox and have 200 new emails, every time I open my inbox, which is what was happening. But a little tip on that, in that regard with that email. One thing, since Google or Gmail had that update where they started siphoning things off into the different folders for you, like the social and the promotional, it helps a lot to have something in that follow-up email that tells people to hit reply, because it kind of whitelists your email address. It's seen as a conversation by Gmail or Outlook or whatever, and so they're going to get your emails if they reply to it. So that's just like a little tidbit.
No, definitely, very, very good. Hey, I don't know if you check that kind of thing in the IM space. I've got over 50% of my subscribers use Gmail. It's quite shocking, because you've got exactly that issue. If you don't land in the main tab, but in the promotions or social, you do have to do a lot of work to get them to come out of it. What's it like in your market? Do you happen to know what the sort of proportion of Gmail users is?
No, I should probably check that out. I see you use ActiveCampaign. Do you get that data in there?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, I'll check that out. I gotta look.
What is it you're using? I just saw your signature. I had no idea what it was. Is it self-hosted or?
I use ActiveCampaign. Yeah.
I use ActiveCampaign. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, if you've got any questions around, actually, I had a couple of suggestions for you but we're not going to do that here. If you're interested regarding your emails you're sending out, we can do that later. So, email marketing is kind of my thing. So yeah, I can show you a couple of things later on. No worries. Okay, excellent. So high-level summary: care about your market, because that's where you're going to get the info you need. Then spend time on basically developing this, and live with the fact that it's going to take time. There's no such thing as a quick fix when you want to do something that you can build up and then get really good revenue from. Learn as you go and earn as you go, I guess, and just play with different ideas. That would be my high-level summary. So, looking at all of this and your story, sort of having started this, what you said, like 2 years ago, you started this one here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say?
This funnel is brand new though. It's like 3 weeks old.
I can't believe I literally stumbled upon this like 2 weeks ago. Fantastic. I mean, lots and lots of insights. Then ClickBank, the Gmail trick, the processor, payment processor, having your own funnel, the supplements. There's so much cool stuff in here. If someone were to come to you and say, look, I've got this, whatever, I've got a product on, weight loss. What advice would you give them? What are 3 things to do and 3 things not to do, based on your journey here?
Yeah,
what's
like
the top thing to do?
An ebook product?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. First thing, I would just copy this funnel and have an upsell in there, because this funnel is working really well. So that's the first thing I would do, have the funnel set up. I'm a big fan of blogging because I think it builds your authority. It's a lot easier to build your own audience than it is to reach out and always be hustling for affiliates and stuff, relying on other people. I'm not a big fan of relying on other people for my income.
Yeah.
So blogging is great. Basic paid traffic stuff is also good off of Facebook, but you have to send them. Facebook also is very strict now on the fitness niche, weight loss niche. So you have to send them to a blog. A blog is actually a great pre-sale page essentially.
Yeah.
So I would definitely use blogging in an intelligent way like that to sell the product. Cover image matters a lot. Networking matters a lot in the niche. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't know. I just always build like upsells into everything, and that was one thing I learned that helps a lot. Double or triple your revenue.
Absolutely, yes. So what's the number one don't do this? Man, if I could travel back in time, I would never do that again.
I don't know. Probably just even wasting time when I didn't know people to just ask them to promote. I did it a couple times and I just hated the way I felt. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah. I'm just going to like do my own thing. And eventually you become friends with everybody anyway if you stick around. And in the niche, because most people drop off at like 6 months, then they're vanished. They never come back into the niche, and like no one knows who they are anymore. But if you stick around and just make friends, it's fun to just cross promote for everyone and just be like, okay, I'll promote your thing, you promote mine, and so yeah, one thing I wouldn't do is just waste time emailing people, because I get emails a lot where people are like, hey, can you promote my thing? I'm like, no, I don't know who you are, I don't know even what your product looks like, and So, yeah, don't even waste your time with that.
Do you hang out with, like, Mike Geary and Dr. Charles and those guys?
No, not them. A lot, kind of like my little crew, I guess, is just a group of friends, is like Greg O'Gallagher, Rusty Moore. And,
oh, Rusty. He's cool. Yeah, I've talked to him. Yeah, I've had him on the call.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Rusty's a really good guy. He's taught me a lot too. It's definitely been someone that I've looked up to as a mentor, and just learning this stuff. He invited me into the mastermind group, Keith Baxter's mastermind, and
cool. Yeah,
amazing group of people. So.
Rusty has, I even have his book. I did a very similar thing with him a couple of years ago, and cool. He has a very similar story. He started blogging and then went from there.
Yep. Yeah. That's how I found him, off his blog, yeah.
Oh, really? Cool. All right, Christopher, thank you very much. That was absolutely terrific. Lots and lots of gold nuggets. This was going to be like a 10-minute chat. Now it's turned into what? Almost an hour, 50 minutes. Now, thank you very much for taking the time today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
If anyone's interested, all the goodness is to be had at testshock.com. Do you also want to point us to your blog?
Yeah, well, you can just go to, I'm doing all my blogging now at testshock.com/blog. So,
okay.
The TestShock blog.
Excellent, testshock.com/blog. Well, thank you very much. And I hope to be speaking to you soon. Actually, what I'm going to do is after this, what I'm going to do right now is stop recording, and then we can have a quick chat. All right? Alrighty, speak to you soon. Bye.